Right, y'all, I'm back. Here we are. So let's resume where we left off. We were on the legs of the Space Needle, so if you haven't done that step yet, please go back to the part 1 of the Space Needle. So, shall we resume? Also, I do apologize for the delay in getting videos out. Things got busy, and then audio quality working on as well. But, other than that, here we are. So, just okay. Also, my apologies for the background noise. Emergency things. Anyway, so we're just gonna place a few blocks here to bring it up. We're gonna go back this here, and then keep it level as much as possible. So, so if you haven't seen pictures of the Space Needle, right in here, somewhat close to the ground, there's this little structure. Let's see if I can get a picture of that up for you. So, looks like I can't get a picture of that on there right now. But it's called the Skyline Banquet Facility. And that will be part of something that we'll add to our structure as we go here. So, I'm just going to start the process of adding our little structure here. And then, of course, what we'll end up doing is we'll chop part of this leg from the inside off once we've finished here with the building of the general frame of the banquet center here. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that the Space Needle had so much to go? Anyway, so just build out from there. So out, out. Of course, when you're building the first part of this, it kind of has to work. Otherwise, the rest of this doesn't work because one of the neat things about the Space Needle is all the components of it are very, very well integrated. So it's all built into the legs when you have your parts up here. They're just kind of all part of it. And if you mess one thing up, it tends to throw the rest of the project off. So, just be careful that you're following steps as precisely as possible. So that means pausing and rewinding a little bit. Well, not literally rewinding, of course, but so there we are. It connects. When we do this, it connects again right about up at the right up at in the middle here, there's a little section where it stops its taper inwards. So it goes up a little ways. So it goes up a little ways. And then it begins to taper out for a little bit of a shorter distance before it tapers, before it stops tapering in, and then you have the observation deck way up at the top. So I'm gonna just up and down. Takes a little bit more time than I would like, but up and down and up and down. So here we are, just about done, roughly done building the point where it stops tapering in. So, well, we'll see how it looks once it's finished. I may need to adjust the height of these and just make it work. Another thing that you can try to do, I'm not going to try to do, but if you wanted to, you could build a children's museum complex nearby next to this. It's kind of neat. They actually have a periscope in there where you can see the Space Needle, at least the legs of it. Anyway, so it's gonna start kind of tapering back out again. So let's build this little triangle again at each one of these little corners. So, nope, sorry. So let's see if I can get that to look somewhat similar here. It's a little bit complex trying to shape things that are a little bit less blocky in Minecraft. There we go. Looks like I found a pattern that works. So, fortunately, this is a little bit more complicated, but we also don't have nearly as far to go. Because if you look at a picture of the Space Needle, this top part that tapers back out, it's a little bit shorter, and so it doesn't have to go nearly as far. We'll maybe go 4, 5 blocks higher, probably at most would be my guess. So, going back up here. Okay. So, hopefully I didn't just mess that up. I guess I'm gonna adjust just a little bit. Because this side right here always has to be larger by a tiny bit. See. So I'm gonna do that. That should actually just line right up. And then once we've done that little bit there, it's all gonna connect. We'll fill in these little holes, so I'm just gonna repeat this process here on the other side. Just gotta remember how this goes. Okay, yeah. There we go. Okay, down goes. Okay, here we are. Fits just fine. Now let's see if I can duplicate that accurately. A little bit more complex numbers, right? I'm gonna pause it so you don't have to see this whole process again. Okay, I'm back. So I have just completed the part where it tapers back out. And so the next step is to begin the process on the observation tower. And so we'll get the frame and have you started on that before we switch. So it's tapered out right up at the top, and it's going to begin right at the very base. Gonna connect the pinnacles of each of the corners together in a ring. Alright, so let's start by building the ring of which I spoke a moment ago. So, I'm just gonna hit the resume button here. So, it's just gonna be a matter of doing this all the way in. Hopefully I can count it correctly. But otherwise, it's just a small modification that can be fixed easily. Small little alteration. Gotta try to get it nice and even here. So it looks better when it's symmetrical. Now it might be a little bit over particular for something as blocky as this is, but still, it's definitely preferable. That looks much better. Now it's a somewhat long process, but totally gonna be worth it once we're done. There we go. Oh, maybe I went up too far that time. Oh, we'll see. It'll be fine. As I said before, it's a rather easy thing to fix if you mess that up. Oh, that was perfect. Okay. Silly pig. I really should just disable mob spawning for this world, shouldn't I? Oh well. The strange thoughts I come up with. Ooh, this could be a problem. Stinky. Might be a little bit disproportionate. That's a pain. Well, I mean, it is wider around it. That will be fine. Just noticing that this is a little bit wider at the top than I would have liked. However, it is similar that way in the real thing, which will actually allow for a little bit more detail once we're finished the exterior, when we switch to building in the interior of the top of the Space Needle. It will look a whole lot better since we have some more wiggle room. It's kind of hard to get proportions right when you're just looking at blocks. Not that I may or may not be any better if it was a little less blocky, but you know, it just occurred to me that I was wasting a whole bunch of time breaking those extra blocks when it's actually the same. Okay, so now that we have that, let's knock these cows off the cliff. Kill it, die, cow, die. Okay. So we have this part built. So actually, if you've ever seen pictures of this part, it juts out a little ways more. So, when we're done with it, it'll look a little bit different. Let's extend this whole thing out a few blocks, shall we? Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. I don't know that we're gonna have enough room. Oh yeah, we'll be fine. Once we've finished kind of extending this little area, then I think we'll start closing the frame here, closing this section of the bistro, which as I recall is built around the elevators. And just so if you've seen, the elevators are a little bit somewhat yellow as of the creation of this video, and so I'm going to actually use scaffolding, which has a somewhat yellow look to it and is smooth when you're running up it. So I want it to look as nice as possible. Again, Minecraft is a little bit picky as far as how it wants to function as far as making it look aesthetically pleasing, but and accurate. Oops. Oh, we're a block short. There we go. Okay. So it's gonna go up. So if you've seen, there's the elevators on the outside here, and then there's in the middle there's a beautiful stairway that goes all the way up. So let's find the right blocks here, shall we? Well, I'm gonna need a darkish glass for some of the stuff. Tinted maybe would work. Black. And then some clear white stained glass. Oh, and let's just grab the scaffolding ahead of time for good measure. I'm not seeing it right away. Better yet, just chickens. Anyway, let's see. Okay. So now that we've done that, I'm going to start kind of filling in this floor. We'll break blocks as necessary, but I'm going to pause the video so you don't have to watch me do this whole process. So we've got that figured out. Going to resume now, and we're going to build the frame up on the top, and then of course we're going to fill it in with glass in the areas that it's correct space to do that in. So let's start kind of following the pattern that we used to create the best effect possible here. So there's two ups, there's enough walking room, but it's not too, if you will, extravagant. It's useful to try to avoid breaking blocks as much as possible, because then you're not wasting time. It's advice that I try to keep. Don't always succeed, but definitely try. Okay, 2 up, and then, so if you think about the way that your building is, you can almost always find certain patterns that allow you to save time from not breaking blocks. It kind of cuts down any time that you may waste. Of course, I'm not exactly the speediest builder either. Okay, so we've done that, built the frame. Can pause the video and fill it in just like we did two or three blocks that are below it. Okay. Alright, so back having put in this section of roof here. So there's that. Just to give it a neat little look. We're going to put interior lighting when the time comes, but for now we are going to use our tinted glass to give it a sleek look from the outside. So we're just kind of going to follow the outside frame of that like that. See, the farthest reaching block all the way around here. We'll take care of getting lighting in there after we take care of making it look nice. And when it's dark out, it'll look real nice because you're not going to see the light from inside the building. It's all going to be hidden. But of course, if you end up changing this world to survival, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have lighting in there that's sufficient, because, as we all know, mobs do like the dark, and especially if you get any particularly dangerous mobs, we can get a whole lot of them spawning in there at a time, and it can be a pretty big issue. Not that I don't like mobs, but I don't like mobs. Especially not when they're in the habit of blowing my stuff up. Tends to be an issue. It's now virtually completely dark, if not for this little block here. Which of course will be fixed later on, but for the time being. Okay, so we've done that. We'll take care of furnishing it later on. So we're going to move up here and start to fill in the disc, or the saucer, if you will. So if you've ever been up there, you see the walls and then parts of the floor, glass, so you can see down through the bottom and the sides. Kind of cool. So I'm going to do at least the outer ring like that. Make it look a little bit neat. And we'll do the same thing for a couple layers out here. Let me just make sure I got my layering right. I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Sorry, I did get my layering off here. So we have, in the real Space Needle, we actually have a rotating floor before we get, well yeah, the glass is still there, but we have a rotating floor with the bar in the middle there. And then there's the observation deck just above that. Of course, it's going to be something that I'm not going to be trying to duplicate the rotating floor. But, while I'm going to have trouble duplicating that, I will most definitely put in the glass. And then they do use a dark glass for the outer ring on the bar area. So I'm going to duplicate that effect and put tinted glass all the way around that as well. And hopefully it will work out nicely. The only annoying thing is that it is a long ways to go around with glass. Okay, one more round here, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Oops. There we are. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to take our tinted glass. We're going to build it 2 layers up all the way around this whole thing. So I'm going to pause so you don't have to wait and watch me do the whole thing. You just do it yourself and then resume. Okay, I'm back. It would appear that I'm just slightly wrong here. Observation deck is actually above this, and there's not really too much going on in this level, but there's still the tinted glass, and it's a little bit darker. So we're gonna fill in that big blank here with the same blocks we were using for the rest of the body. My frame of the tower. So placing does take a little while to place all of these blocks. There's a huge amount of them. So I'm gonna again just kind of pause you a second so that you don't have to watch me. Okay, I'm back, so I decided to put the roof on of that little section there. It's gonna be nice and easy. So I'm gonna actually take that part off so it has a little bit of a taper to it. So once you get a little pattern going, it's fairly easy. Just for when you get ahead of yourself. That's the only thing about building it really huge, is that it takes quite some time to build the other components. Probably the other biggest projects, other than finishing the saucer section, if you will, would be the stairway, and of course, decorating. So those are going to be our big things. The rest of it's just pretty easy. Maybe the bottom office, I don't know if I'm going to build that. Anyway, so you've seen how this part works before, just fill in the blanks. Here we go. Okay, now I've completed that, and in case you didn't notice, I chopped it all 2 blocks back and then put glass here, because I forgot we wanted to be able to see through the ground at least a little bit when we build the observation deck. And when we build the observation deck, what we're going to do is we're going to have it basically outline this whole thing all the way around with clear glass 2 blocks tall, which will basically allow us to have a similar thing, and then we're actually going to do it 2 blocks tall like that, and then we're going to start to kind of close it off. So I'll go for a minute or two here showing you all the way around here, but then I'm going to pause the video so that you can switch to doing it yourself without my being involved with that. Just a second. You know what? I think you probably get the idea, but I'll show you here once I'm done, and then you can fix it if you haven't. Just a second. I'm going to pause it. Okay, so we're back. Done the glass all the way around. Oops, wrong button. So we have that. Now we're going to start building the top. So this is going to go up and around. It's kind of going to taper in again. We're just going to go all the way around just like that until we get to just about the center, where we're going to put the needle itself. So just keep going until you've gotten it all the way in. And as we go, we're going to actually destroy these extra blocks because it's going to taper up over top of those, and we want to make sure that there's enough room inside, because there's the observation layer, and then a step back, a few steps back and up, there's the area with the bar or whatever in real life. Of course, I'm not quite going to decorate it exactly like it is in real life, just because, or at least not for the time being. I might in a later video, but I'm going to kind of decorate it as I like it, and you're more than welcome to do the same or look it up and try to duplicate it, because you kind of have to get a little more creative instead of duplicating with interior decorating in Minecraft, because it's a little bit on the more difficult side to do accurately, because I'm not in a world right now that has mods set up or texture packs set up so I have good furniture and kitchen supplies. So improvisation is the best we got for that. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it. You saw what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do it all the way and then resume the video. Alright, so I've completed that part. So as we see here, it kind of tapers back out a tiny bit. Oops, I forgot to do a little part here. But it tapers out a tiny bit right at the top, if you've ever been there or seen any pictures. And then it goes back in, up at this gray section, where it is sealed off, has railings around the top, and has the actual needle, the Space Needle. So very tippity top of the structure. So I'm just going to build the needle. And we're going to top it with an end rod, but just for fun, I'm going to have that be the very last step. Oh, and they actually use glass for that, so let me just get some glass. place the railing all the way around. And then we're going to kind of destroy those corner blocks once we get to that stage, but we'll see. Well, maybe I shouldn't destroy them, because that kind of still makes it wrap around enough. So there's that. There will be an access scaffold that goes up, but for the time being, that's that. And we'll top it right at the end. This is what it should look like for now. It's a little bit blockier and disproportionate than I would have liked, but not too much I can do to change it now. And of course, you're more than welcome to suggest changes or modifications or make them yourself if you're building it. And I will reconsider that and perhaps at some point make an addendum, but I don't know. We'll see. Because big structural changes are very much very good at sucking time. So the next is just kind of here. Let's see here. I'm going to put the ending of this part. So we're actually going to build all the way down, and then after that we're going to add the next steps will be interior and exterior lighting. So those will be big things. So interior and exterior lighting and decorating are next. I'll probably end up ending the video and then creating a new video for that. So that'll be part 3. So just do that all the way around, top and bottom, with this, all the way up to the top. So that's it for this video. I will pause it and show you the what your end product for this video should look like. And then, thank you for watching. I'll again afterwards, but here we are. Alright, so here's the final product for this video. We have the top, and we have all the way down to the bottom. We're just going to do the interior, and then we are all set. So, anyway, thank you for watching, and get excited for part 3.